for the option to switch between speaker view or gallery view. We like to use gallery view because then you can see all of your friends and colleagues who are also on this call. We will be running a few polls throughout tonight's session, and these may not be visible for everyone, so we'll also read them out aloud, and you can feel free to post your answer in the chat room, and we'll also post the results in the chat room as well. It would be great if you could be patient with us tonight. This is our second online event. We have our fingers crossed that the technology gremlins are going to stay away, but should something go astray or feel clumsy, we ask that you're just patient and you forgive us for any minor mishaps. Feel free to use the chat function or make a comment or add to Teresa's comments as she's running through her presentation as well. We will have 15 minutes at the end of Teresa's presentation for questions from the audience. So during that time, if you use the raised hand function in the control bar of your Zoom screen, Teresa will say your name, you can unmute yourself and then ask Teresa your question. If you're online as well as watching this webinar, please feel free to tag us in your comments or screen shares using the hashtag WinnovationSA. I'd now like to introduce our amazing board tech team who are behind the scenes tonight. First of all, we have Cindy Flower, who will take over if anything goes wrong at my end, and is the person responsible for getting us all online tonight. She'll also be monitoring the chat box and bringing any important points to Teresa or my attention. I'd like to say thank you, Cindy. Hayley, our social media director, is on our socials and getting the chat happening in the chat box. And my name is Paula. I'm a business advisor with Frontier Health Australia, my own company, and also a board member for Winnovation SA, or Women in Innovation, I should say. Thank you to our sponsors for tonight, UniSA, Bendigo Bank, our two principal partners, our gold sponsor, Deloitte, and also our silver sponsors, Fix, the Department of Environment and Water, and Sonti's Footsteps. Women in Innovation are undertaking some market research at the moment. And before we get started, I would like just to do a quick poll to help us understand a little bit more about our community. So over to you, Cindy.
Thanks for that, Paula. Yes, we're doing some market research, and I've got a quick survey to ask who we have online today. A little bit more about what might be important to you. So I'll launch the poll now. Hopefully you can see that on your screen. If you can't, because of the device you're using, the question is, how important is it for you to connect with and be introduced to people that motivate and inspire you to be your best self? The options are very unimportant, somewhat unimportant, somewhat important, and very important. If you could take a few minutes or about 90 seconds to complete that very quick poll, I will then post the results in the chat box. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our guest speaker to you all tonight, Teresa Janowski. Teresa is a critically acclaimed life coach, an inspiring STEM educator whose 25 years of experience in high-calibre training and management roles has garnered her the respect of industry leaders around the globe. Teresa has lent her prowess to tech giants, including Telstra, Motorola, BAE Systems, and SAAB Technologies, revolutionising systems within these organisations. In 2013, Teresa created an award-winning mentoring program, or two award-winning mentoring programs, I should say, STEM Sista and also STEM Mista, helping students to build tremendous resilience and forge remarkable careers across Australia and Europe. Tonight, Teresa is going to share with us how to identify your most important goals, how to develop your own personal goal plan, and how to set up the important habit of goal setting. And so it is my pleasure to welcome Teresa to everyone here tonight. Welcome, Teresa.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hi. It's lovely to see some familiar friends. It's faces. It's wonderful. So just as we're getting going, I will ask Cindy if you could actually do the first 3 questions. And this is just to get our juices going with respect to goal setting. It'll allow me to get an idea of, I'll just bring my, oh, here we are. Fantastic. Yeah, that's it. That's the question. So it'll just give me an idea of where to actually direct this session. So at the end of the session, what would you hope to gain? So a clear method on how to create a goal, strategies on how to stay with the goal, or just loads of information that'll help you, nothing specific, or a way to get going, like let's go, or anything else. So I'd love to know what's most important to you. So if you could actually let me know, that'd be fantastic. Just give you a couple of seconds. That'll be good.
Teresa, I'll close this off after 90 seconds and then launch the next one for you if you like.
Yes, please. That'll be really good. And I'll just get my presentation ready, which it is. Awesome. That'll be great. Now, I am a bit of a chatterbox, so I've set alarms every 5 minutes. So if you hear this alarm, it's actually me. So those of you know me will laugh and say, yeah, she can talk. So beautiful.
I must say you're looking lovely in red tonight, Teresa.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I took my red cardigan off and put on my red jacket. So gotta stay comfy. Awesome. So if we have the next question now, if that's okay, great. So I'm curious, do you have any goals set at the moment? And I don't mean like, yeah, I kind of would like to. Did you give it thought? Are they documented? Like, have you written it down? So that's the first one. And the second one is, if yes, are you effectively achieving them? So you've got a mechanism to achieve them. You've broken it down. So I'm really, really curious. There's no right or wrong answer, obviously, but this will help me navigate the training that we've got ahead. So. Excellent. So Cindy, I might just share my screen now if that's okay.
Yep, go for it.
Beautiful. Hopefully that'll work. I've got that there. I might just close that and share, and it's this one. Beautiful. Can everyone see that okay?
Yes, thank
Excellent.
you.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Excellent. So this is actually a core module that I run for the STEM Sista Mista program. But what I have done is I've beefed it up for this audience. So it's super excited to be delivering it. So let's get going. Ta-da! So this is me. This is STEM Fast Track. This is the team, the organisation, and let's get right into it. I'm keen as beans. So the 3 things, as Paula covered: how to identify. Now this can be tricky because everyone has goals, but how do you find the most important one? How do you develop a personal plan and then set up the habit? So let's go with the first one. How do you identify? Okay, so wheel of life. This is interesting. Some of you have seen this, and those of you that are professionals and have been around the traps would have seen various instantiations of it. I do this every year at the beginning of the year, and I actually review it quarterly. I never used to, it was very difficult, but now it's become quite a habit that I do this. My wheel only has 8 spokes, but I've been quite comprehensive here and actually put 12 because it varies from individual to individual. Cindy, if I could please ask that you do the final poll for me, is just get people to rate what are the top, say, 4 important ones? If we could have those 2 questions up now, if that's okay. Awesome. Oh, top 3, sorry, I told a fib. Oh, there we go. So family and friends, that's different to romance. So that's your significant other. That's actually something to do with investing the relationship there, having time with them. Health and fitness, I've grouped, you could put that separately. Care and contribution, that's giving back. Spirituality or faith. Side hustle, now I've added this one because in these interesting times, often we have hobbies and things, but a lot of people are actually, their side hustle is like a business now, which is fantastic. Personal development, finances, fun and recreation, and also career. So yeah, please pick your top 3. Fantastic. Awesome. Okie dokie. So on that, if you're able to draw a circle and put the spokes on it that matter to you, that would be really important. Now, I just want to say that at certain times as you move through your career and life, this will change. And the goal isn't to get a perfect wheel. The goal is simply to start reflecting and identifying that some areas may need growth and some areas absolutely there's a necessity to have growth. So that's actually step 1. And when you look at it visually, you can actually get quite subjective about it. So how do we actually do that? Just going to go to my next screen. There we go. Okay, so 0 being is the smallest rating, and 5 being the highest. And try and be honest, but not too harsh. For example, personal development, that's always been a big thing for me. And 12 months ago, I actually put a 2. And like I read a fair bit, but I really felt I wasn't reading the right stuff to move me forward in the other areas that would really help me. Was I reading enough about relationships and understanding different personalities? Was I developing myself in the financial area, really understanding things? So, and this is personal. No one judges. No one has an opinion. Your opinion is what's most important. Okay. So on that circle, if you could please rate yourself on those important areas between 0 and 5. So once you've done the assessment, I'd like you to pick one. And that's what we're going to work through in the next couple of slides. So how do you do this? Now, this one for me this is the question I ask. If in 12 months' time, okay, you will be older, I promise you that. What if nothing changes? What if you draw that circle again and it's the same? You might be perfectly all right with that. What if you're not? Which one of those? It may not be one that's actually a 0 or a 1. It might be one that's just been sitting there as a 2 or a 3 and annoying you. And that's essentially what happened with the personal development for me. I got sick and tired of not doing it. I felt like I was shortchanging myself and my relationships. I wasn't performing as best as a mum, as a wife. I wasn't contributing enough, and I needed to move it up that notch a bit. So yeah, so choose the area that means the most to you. Okay, and this is totally personal again. Okie doke. Oh, before we go on, any questions? I'll just do a time check. Are there any questions?
Teresa, I just saw someone had asked for you to show the wheel again.
Oh, sure. There we go. Thank you. So just draw a circle, put the lines through it, 0 in the middle, and then 5 out on the outside. It can be 0 to 10, but I think that's way too much. 0 to 5 is good. 3 is midpoint, and just measure yourself where you'd like to be. Okay. Are there any questions, guys? I actually can't see the hand going up because I'm sharing my screen. Perhaps I should stop sharing. Is that what I should be doing? Oh, I see. Ooh. Participants. Can you see any questions?
No, I can't see any questions at the moment.
Okay.
No. No, there's no hands up at the moment.
Excellent, we're into it. Awesome. So let's say you've chosen one, okay? I'll share a real funny one that I chose recently, and that is to get fit. So part of that, because I've had a lot of knee surgeries, like 20, and anyway, a number of things, and I decided, right, in 12 months time, I want to squat. Seems lame, but I want to run to the end of the street without thinking I'm going to die. And part of that is assessing where I am, and it's just time. It's just time to do that for me. I just was enough for me not to change. You know, when I thought about it in 12 months time, it's going to be on my list again. I'm not happy, Jan. So part of that was also exploring what I eat to eat better, and goodness knows I've had time. So we've actually decided to go keto 3 weeks ago. So I went through this journey, developing a personal plan to achieve this goal. So the circle was important, and these key rules are the second really, really important thing I want to cover. First of all, start off by giving thanks. It sounds weird, we're going to do goal setting, but start off by giving thanks. If you have gratitude for what you have, abundance comes much easier. I can't explain it why. And this was hard for me. One of my mentors, Bill, told me this. I remember when I started giving thanks, all I could think of was being grumpy. I'm not moving forward. I want to move forward. It's clearly my personality. But then I learned every morning I get up, I go outside, I stand in the doorway, and I just look. I'm grateful for the grass, for the trees with the buds. I'm grateful for the garage we have, with the car that I have. I'm grateful for my health, my family. So it takes a couple minutes. Second, with your goal, focus not on the problem, on the solution. Now, this is another thing to learn. It can be tricky, but it becomes a habit to focus on solution. Then create a plan of action, meaning each step you can look at and you go, right, I can do that. You've got to break it down. I'm going to go through that specifically with you in the next slide. And the most important secret above all is learning to fail. Even though you've got a plan, it doesn't mean it'll go to plan. You will be derailed quite often. Life will happen. So the best thing to learn here is to get up and move on. Another brief story, Bill, again, my mentor, said, I've got to recover from failure. And I, of course, didn't like him telling me, but he got me to get a tennis ball. And he said, instead of being putty when I fall and I fail, I have to bounce back like a ball. And he told me to get a tennis ball and bounce it each day and learn to recover. And whatever it did psychologically, when I did that, I remember thinking, I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to bounce back. And I am learning still. And then the last two is monitor progress. That which is measured can be progressed, yeah? And also adjust, be flexible. So let's talk about, let's look at what that looks like in detail. So this actual breakdown is what my daughter used. We've been using this in our family for a decade, actually, this format. It's from a book that I'll share with you at the end that I received as a gift, and I simply adore it. So I'm going to go through this, and then I'm going to break it down. So the very first thing, this is vital. First person present tense statement. Not I'm gonna, one day, I am. Okay, I am. So for her, it was I am a med student at Adelaide Uni. That was her choice. It's done, not maybe, done. Second, this is vital. A graphic that you either draw or you actually cut out that sparks emotion. It must be emotive. When you look at it, you're entrenched. You'll go, yeah, that's me. I am going to be there, and I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be overjoyed. And then the paragraph that actually elaborates your feeling that you've accomplished this goal. Now, this takes time to do. This can take several goes, but it's very, very important. So hers, and she read this. This is actually hers. She read this. I've just changed her name. I am a student at Adelaide Uni studying medicine, and I feel elated that I'm part of the course. I'm on my way to becoming a medical surgeon, blah, blah. The people around me are all positive, and I love the environment we create together. And she read that irrespective of the circumstances she was in. And then there's the plan. So then there's the detailed breakdown, yeah? And then there's a goal. Now you notice I've got 2 goals, because I often say you should always put at least 1 spot for goals, if not 2 or 3, because you may not get your goal when you plan. That doesn't mean the goal is wrong. It may be the timing. It may be the timing is not.
Novak Djokovic has got coronavirus.
Yeah. Okay. I did hear that. Thank you. So yeah, so I'll go through that again. So this part is first person present tense statement, as if you've done it. Yeah. Then there's the picture emoting that you've achieved that, and then there's a paragraph on how you feel that you've achieved it. Yeah. And her plan. So she did this when she was in year 11. So it's choosing the right subjects, preparing for UMAT. Now it's UCAT, getting grades. So all of this was broken down. Okay. So do the UMAT, she had to find out when and where and how much, book it in and do it. Enrolling on the course, there was a window of 2 months. She was late, penalty fee. Grades, that was regularly scheduled in. So all of it has to be broken down. And this is actually where the secret sauce is, because if you look at this, then you can transfer that into your annual, quarterly, weekly, daily goal. Yeah, then you can actually implement it. Moving on. So now that you've got that, so what? It's actually dead unless you actually use it. So I'm actually looking at mine. In my office, I've got pretty pictures behind me, but the real juicy bit is when I look up, I see my goals. Hang it somewhere personal, wherever it means. Like I'm looking at it every day when I sit and work. It can be on the back of the toilet door. It can be on the back of the mirror. It can be on the ceiling. When you wake up, it's the first thing you see. The gentleman who wrote Chicken Soup for a Woman's Soul and all those books, he wrote his affirmations on the ceiling. You can put your goal sheet there. And again, when you read it, I strongly encourage you to really read it. Don't just hear I'm reading it, because you have to. The first person present tense statement, look in the picture, be part of that picture, and then that paragraph. Study the photo, yeah? And then transfer those actions into executable items into your diary. Any questions before we move to the final part?
I haven't seen any come up, Teresa.
Okay.
I'd like to ask though, the picture that you include in the plan, do you recommend that it's a picture of yourself?
If you can. So that photo wasn't actually of Claudia, but it was pretty close. So what I do, I want to have a goal to speak in an auditorium of 10,000. So I've actually got a photo of an auditorium, and I've photocopied my face onto it. I just photoshopped my face, and it makes me feel as if it's me. So it doesn't have to be you, but you can kind of make it you, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just letting you know that I've put the results of the poll in the chat group.
Okay.
And also we do have a couple of questions in there. One is, can you flip back to the last slide for a quick second, please?
Yep.
And also, can you have too many? I.e., it becomes ineffective to have a dozen of these on the go at one time.
Initially, yes. I tried to do that and I failed at a lot of them, and it actually gets easier to have many or multiple when you learn certain habits. So I love the question, fantastic question. So I would recommend having one, getting into the groove of it, and then I would increase to perhaps 2 or 3. And when you're in the groove, meaning you are able to consistently for 30 days read it, transfer it into your diary, track it, and you can see the progress. Because there would be no point if you have, say, a dozen and you're not progressing, then you're going to beat yourself up. So it's better if you get the hang of one and do it well. And it can be simple. I did one to go overseas to plan the holiday. And I just thought, oh, can I do this? I've got 2 months. You know, how am I going to do this? So you can do something simple as well. Like, yeah, but good question. Any other questions?
That's all that's in the chat group. Okay,
great. So I can move on now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Okay, setting up the habit. Setting up the habit. This is the stuff that helps you make actually achieve it, execute it. So where do you work best? Do you work best in a clean, uncluttered space, or in a noisy cafe, or on the couch in your jammies? It's very, very personal. I actually work best in a cafe. When I have to get work done, I go to a coffee shop. I sit in the corner facing the wall, and I take my diary and a parcel of work, and I literally set a timer and go 1 hour, coffee, think, lay that egg. Because when I'm here, it's like, oh, would you look at that? Oh, would you look at that? Oh, would you look at that? And I'm just like a kid in a lolly shop. But when I'm in a cafe, the noise helps me center. It's weird. The reason I share that with you is whatever works for you, works for you. When I started this, I felt bad because I was busy, young mum, etc., etc. So I would come home from work and not get out of my car until I read my goal sheet. I literally gave myself a few minutes, and at least I could say I did that. And then I promised myself one thing a week I'll do, just one thing. So I actually created some time by just reading in the car before I got out of it. So whatever works for you. Second thing is break it down. It is so much easier if you know what to do. So for example, the keto thing, I was freaked out. So I bought 6 books, and each day I just allowed myself to explore the books. I gave myself 2 weeks and just find stuff that appealed to me, no pressure. And I got into the habit. Then I thought, well, what if? But my plan was very detailed, was buy books, read books, choose 10 items, 10 meals, buy food, cook food. Seems a bit stupid, but it was a big deal for me. It was a big deal, I'm telling you. Now I'm one of those people that measures the calories and cooks funny food. Anyway, but it's fun. But breaking it down is so important. Not something nebula, because you can't actually, you can't see it and then can quantify it to action it. Next thing, schedule time, create that time. I shared with you that I didn't get out the car until I read my goals. The other thing I do is I don't get out of bed now until I've read my goals. I pick up my diary with my sheet, and this is the translation of, I don't know if you can see that, of what I actually, from my goal sheet to my action sheet, that is read first, and then I have to get out of bed to read my phone. I do that on purpose, otherwise I just, sink into that. So schedule time for it is good. Even if it doesn't have to be daily, it can be 1 hour a week, whatever works for you, because everyone's got their own schedules. Yeah. Staying on track. So appreciate that life does hit you. So just be, okay, this wasn't a good day. This wasn't a good week. Tomorrow will be. It's okay. And please remember that pilots, when they fly their planes, are off course 90% of the time, and they still get to the destination. They self-correct. So perhaps have that visual of, sure, you might be off course, but you're heading there, and you just self-correct. It's little nudges. And you'll eventually get there, and you'll eventually get the habit of reading the goal sheet, in scheduling what you're going to do, looking in the diary, actually doing it, and just daily, just breaking it down and doing it. Okay, so we're probably just about out of time, but I'd like you to decide what you're going to do, because this has been great. I've certainly enjoyed myself, but I want you to use this information. So reflect on the wheel. So the wheel itself, what are the important areas for you? Number 2, which one area you're going to focus on? Draw up the sheet, do the detailed plan, and can I ask you quite, what's the word, audaciously, perhaps it's only 7:15 or so, sorry, 7, perhaps do it tonight. So tomorrow you can start fleshing it out, yeah? Just give yourself little challenges to do that. And who knows, you'll get right onto it then. So if you want to know more, in July, I'll be doing a 3-part course. It'll be a webinar series. It'll begin with visioning. It'll be a much more detailed dive in with the various assets you can use and stuff like that. But for now, thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I adore teaching and helping people. And this is me. So if you want to reach out, Teresa or STEM Fast Track, or hello at STEM Fast Track. So I'll leave it back on that one. So that's it from me. So any questions back to Paula?
Thank you, Teresa. That was a fantastic presentation on goal setting. I know for me personally, I have written down some goals that I already had in place for my professional life, my personal life, and my family life. But over these past few months, I haven't really revisited them as often as I should have. So this was a great session just to recenter myself and go back and look at those again to see where I'm at. So thank you for that. I also thought a fantastic takeaway was around your point of scheduling time and eliminating those tasks that don't get you closer to your goal, because I think it's often we can get just too busy supposedly just doing things, but if they're not sort of important in achieving your goal, then it's best that you don't do that. So thank you.
And that can be hard to ask yourself that question, but then if you get brave to do it, then I think you're really on the right track, because that's the habit you build. That's great. Yes,
fantastic. So we'll now open the session up to questions from the audience. We've got probably about 10 minutes or so now, so please don't be shy. Use the raised hand function in the control bar of your Zoom screen, and when Teresa says your name, you can unmute yourself and ask that question yourself if you like. Cindy, I think we might already have some questions.
Yes, Sharon asked a question in the group chat. Sharon, would you like to ask it personally by coming off mute?
Yeah, hi Teresa, love you. Long time no see. Looking forward to catching up with copious amounts of alcohol shortly. So I've got a son who's very, very driven and finished year 12 last year. He knocked it out of the park, did a great job. And similar to your daughter, he's very focused. He wants to be a RAF pilot, which is, I imagine, is equally as hard as getting into Adelaide Uni in medicine. I think the thing is that he is personally very driven, but I'm concerned, and I'm trying to encourage him to, because he's kind of what if, he's kind of going, with a RAF pilot, you can only apply 3 times and you have to wait 12 months between each application. And he missed out by B's whisker in October last year, and it was middle of exams, etc. So it was not a good time. But I'm concerned, obviously I'm familiar with goal setting, but I'm concerned that if I say to him, mate, let's create a vision board, let's do this, let's all break it down, and that he's going to just be, not have an option B. So I just wanted your thoughts on, because if you create a vision board and if you say, this is what I want, it's very scary, because it's almost like, oh shit, now I put it out there, what happens? Because there's so many factors outside of your control. If he grows another centimeter, he's going to be too tall. So that's one of the factors that's, so what are your thoughts? Because it's freaking scary. That's the thing that puts me off goal setting.
No, I understand. And I think, sharing about my kids, so my daughter had this and she was very teachable and followed it, whereas my son, on the middle of his computer, he had one harsh statement with 2 F words in it for him to basically pull his finger out and not respect himself, but do well by himself to be disciplined. So what Claudia did, and I'm teaching today, didn't work for him. He basically just needed to be almost punched in the face. There was a graphic, and he was dating a girl that was really smart, and he didn't care about grades, but he didn't want to be dumber. It was ego. So he had blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of cussing in it, which I won't repeat, but it kept incentive. It was one statement in the middle of his computer, and that was it. But we would talk, so we would go on dates and talk about consequences of not. So what are you going to do? You're not going to game for 5 hours. You're going to be focused. You're going to know what to do, how well to do it. So his journey was clear. So he knew what to do, and I would just make sure he's actually just dusted off and put onto the thing. So I respect that it's scary. And with your son, it's very real. If he grows, that's beyond his control. He can't. But what I would offer was how can be involved in tacit careers, being the RAF, but in other associated careers. Can he design cockpits? Can he do human factors? Can he work in a myriad of areas and make it safer for the pilots? Can he do, there's so many exciting careers that he could be involved in, but it may not be directly that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And we've, I've kind of done all that and I won't take up any more of your time because there's obviously other people that have to, they've got questions as well. But it's just, I think this is the concern that I have is it's all eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And he's even been accepted into the Qantas Flight Academy. And this was kind of like pre-COVID, which we're going, yay. And then COVID, boo.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, we'll catch up and have a wine sometime.
I love that. I love that. That would be beautiful. Thank you.
Teresa, we have another question from Michelle Patterson. Michelle, would you like to come off mute and ask your question? Maybe not.
No, hello, sorry, that took a moment. I'm just wondering on your tips for the technique between being too kind for yourself when you're off track all the time versus, not being a severe taskmaster. That's your own worst nightmare.
Yeah. I'd set rewards. So for example, just little rewards. It sounds funny, but every 5 kilos I lose, I'm going to buy myself some nice knickers. So that's what I've decided. Yep, and I can buy the knickers now, but I'm not. It's discipline, and how sweet it is when it's delayed gratification when you can actually allow that. And if I'm progressing towards my goal all week, then we go out for a nice dinner. So it's scheduled, it's budgeted, because that affects my other one. And so to answer your question, Michelle, and I especially now, it's so easy not to, but how will you respect yourself if you don't do it? Like, there's got to be a point where you go, enough's enough. It's got to matter. And I dare ask, it may not be the right goal for you if that's how you feel. You may not have that drive for it. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yes, it does. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Where Sally has made, it's more of a comment than a question, but Sally has said a version of your presentation for kids would be great.
Yeah. So I actually run it for primary school kids. I do junior STEM Sista, and we talk about careers and tacit careers as well. So thank you. But yeah. I'm working with.
Just come off.
Yeah. Thanks, Sally.
Yeah. Hi, Teresa. Yeah, just come off mute briefly. I'm finding that my kids, towards the end of the term, the anxiety's setting in and they're getting very tired. And it's fun. It's interesting. We reflect on ourselves, but we also reflect on our children. And so good to hear that you've got a version for children. I think.
And if you reach out, I've got some resources. So with the little ones, in fact, all the kids get a Blinky Bill sheet. How Blinky Bill talks to himself. So
oh, cool.
They can home, put it in the mirror, and then they cross out some and put their own affirmations there. I did it to my kids. They're 26 and 24, but they know that you have to keep your words precious, and the words you speak to yourself and to others, they are precious. And it seems childish, but they know that. They learned that, and it was on their mirrors, and it was tatty and sticky tack was peeling off, but they learned that. So having something cute like that for children is really powerful. But if you reach out on that email, I can certainly share that with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Cindy, can I ask one more question? Have we got time? Can I ask another question?
You're the MC, so go for it.
Teresa, I just wanted to ask you, what happens if things go astray? Have you got any pointers to get back on track?
Yes. I can. I'm victim of that. Absolutely. So first thing of all is just acknowledge. Okay. And then I take myself out on a date. I'm going for a coffee. I go for a walk or for a coffee. I leave the house because I don't know about everyone, but there's just so much to do when you're just pulled. But I set myself a task, right? This walk, I'm going for half an hour. I'm going to really think about this. I'm going to think about it. Why am I doing it? What I want out of it, like an evaluation. And what one thing can I do? Mel Robbins, I don't know if you are familiar with her, she wrote a book on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do it. That actually doesn't work for me. But I do imagine when I hear that, a rocket ship, and it's like, I need to do something. So I just choose one task. So with the keto thing, everyone was telling me, but honestly, what did it was when my daughter said to me, Mum, if you don't want to be like Nana, 89 and frail and sick, you got to do something. And she's been nagging me gently for years. And it's all come together where I thought to myself, I just want a bloody squat. It seems silly, but these things, and I just saw myself to be more flexible and strong. And I just needed to educate myself. And there's no excuse now. So I started simple. Went to Kmart. I gave myself an hour, again, a time limit. And I bought, the budget only allowed 1 month, I bought 3 books, and the following month I bought 3 books. So just stop and think, number one. Number two, what can you do about it? What one thing can you do? And then just do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Do it. And then you realize, oh, I did it. I did it. And then it's like, look at me. But yeah, just action cures fear.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you, Teresa. That, unless anyone has any other questions that they wanted to ask, that probably brings us to the end of this evening's session on setting goals.
Awesome.
Thank you, Teresa, for sharing your insight and experience with us this evening. You've been incredible to listen to, and I'm sure we could have spoken for a lot longer than the time that we've allocated here tonight, but thank you for making that start.
Pleasure.
It's a bit funny that we're not able to see everyone, but thank you all for coming along tonight, for joining in the chats, and for being part of the polls that we ran. This is the first of our 3-part Women in Innovation personal development series, so we look forward to seeing you all again next Wednesday night, when we'll be hearing from Ruth Morgan on wellbeing. And then in the last session, we'll be hearing from Layla Henderson, and she's going to be running a presentation on winning awards, just in time for the launch of the 2020 Winnovation Awards. So please make sure you all go and register for those sessions, as they're selling out fast.
Awesome.
Keep an eye on your emails, because we'll be sending through an evaluation form, which we encourage you all to fill in to help us learn more about our events and improve our events. But in the meantime, please connect with us, connect with our speakers, reach out to Teresa, ask her any other questions. Thank you all again for joining us tonight, and we look forward to seeing everyone next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Thanks.
Thank you.